first
everything
got
was
here.
like it was gold and it was
Probably,
beige.
yeah.
The whole inside of her car
No,
was
probably
beige.
not,
But it
they
was just
are.
so full of cigarette smoke.
That used to be this common.
Oh,
Now
God.
it's
Well, I
like-
Maybe
smoked
made
then
by
too.
order.
That even
I was
bothered
gonna
me.
say, oh, his works.
Barely.
We are live. Yeah, I've tried to put this in up before.
Well, tomorrow is the VFW meeting,
Yes,
so I'll go to that.
yeah, I think that's where they send the invitation.
What is that? What is this?
It's one of the,
I can't read the writing on that one.
Amerisafe.
the high school that puts it on a group of kids.
2.5
Puts it on at the
something
high
water
school every
mist
year.
Oh.
refurbished.
Almost, they always send the invitation down there to the VFW.
Oh, I know what it is. It's
sure
the
that's-
fire extinguishers have to
They,
be
they
serviced.
put my address.
Oh my
No, they were
God,
here
is
the
that
other
what it
day.
costs?
Yeah.
Holy
I don't know how
Toledo.
many does it
Gonna
say
say
it was.
it.
Does it
I
say?
don't know, but the whole amount is $2,800. That's
What
terrible.
else is on there?
I didn't see
That's
they were, I don't get too much off of Tenino.
Maybe there's a bunch more, but oh yeah.
Yeah,
here,
the
look
only
how
thing I
many
ever
there
see
were.
on Tenino talking
Oh
is,
my
Twenty.
I'm
God.
looking for this, my
Every
son
fire
needs a
extinguisher in the city,
job,
probably.
somebody
Isn't that
stole
biggest
my
one around
something,
in all fire extinguishers?
Yeah.
Museum and
that's about
everything.
it.
The museum has to have special ones because we
I
realized
know, look
the
at-
regular ones will
I
just
look
ruin
at
everything if
Facebook
you were to
like-
use them in there.
Oh,
Like almost.
When I'm
Um,
6 o'clock in the evening, I don't look at it all the time, and I don't have it on my phone.
I picked up a piece of mail
It's on my iPad.
for the chamber
I
the other day, and it said,
No, I
to
don't have
Dan
it.
Beadle.
No, I do.
This reminded
But,
me.
I scroll down.
Dan
to,
Beadle, he was
what they call
president of the
wheels.
chamber at one time,
Click
I
on
guess.
the wheel, it goes to the
Yeah.
wheel, and then you click on the
Well,
button,
he
the
was
side
on the
button.
planning commission
You can scroll
years
through
ago.
that,
When
so
I
get
first
to
moved down
UFC
here
fights.
22 years ago, he was on the planning commission. Because there was a guy here that wanted to put in storage sheds right across the street from the park. And we all went to the meeting, and Dan Beadle said to Jody Stoltz's mother, and you know how Jody is? Well, Judy, her mother is just the same,
Okay.
exactly. What do you care? You don't own any property in there. And she says, I beg your pardon. Oh my God. She got up and left. Anyway, the guy didn't build the storage sheds. God,
Getting close.
what is this? Is this for the water, yeah, must be for the wastewater plant.
Yeah. Or, yeah, the
Control
wastewater
valves.
plant or the some water thing, yeah.
Damn.
I was just talking to him about that, the wastewater plant. He's very concerned that we kind of put off a lot of maintenance on that place, just general maintenance. That, pumps and stuff that should have been rebuilt. And,
That's not good. Dave, John's calling you. Oh,
I missed it after sitting here watching it for 20 minutes. Okay, I want to call to order the November 12th work session for the city of Tenino. The first thing on our list here is to review the agenda for, start over on that. Call to order the work session for the Tenino City Council. We have an agenda for the work session. The first thing is reviewing the agenda, council agenda for today. If you want to take a minute to look through that, if there's anything you would like to add or have questions about that's on the agenda.
no. Not me.
Everybody good with the agenda?
Mhm.
Okay, council priorities. Is there anything from the council that they would like to add on a list for us to look into here? We're kind of got a busy end of the year here getting our budget all done, but if there's any priorities you would like to add on, we can
I don't.
start. That's good. I thought I had my phone up here. I was like, oh, is that me? Where's that buzzing come from? Okay, hearing nothing. Discuss surplus of city property. We have a couple things that we're gonna talk about surplusing. One is the truck that Rainey was using. That thing is pretty torn up inside, but we're gonna surplus that thing, and apparently it's some truck that everybody wants, so
Really?
they think we can get a decent
Well,
price for it.
well,
even though
yeah, if it's an antique or
It's an
whatever.
antique, yeah.
Use duct tape for the seat.
The seat, yeah,
Oh,
to
there
cover,
it is, duct tape.
to cover up the holes in the seat.
Yes, it will.
The other one that we hadn't really talked about is the Vector truck. We were talking about just putting it up, you know, surplusing it and seeing if anybody bid on it. But Jen, help me if I don't explain this right. The people that we got our current Vector truck from sometimes come in and they'll either make you an offer to buy it, or they will basically consign it for you and sell it for you. After talking about it, we're kind of thinking that that might be a better option than just putting on a, you know, they probably have a lot more people that are looking for
That are
this kind of
looking
thing.
for them, sure.
Yeah, and they seem to think, what was they saying, maybe $20,000 or $30,000 they thought they could get?
Like another city got for one that was in worse shape than ours, so.
So it kind of caught me off guard. I was
That's
thinking
kind of
that.
nice.
But anyway, so we're leaning in the direction of putting that, just consigning that with that company and letting them try to find I think we could probably get a little bit more for it, them knowing, you know, people coming to them looking for
Right.
stuff versus,
What's their commission?
that's where we gotta find out, yeah.
Probably 30 or 40%.
It's the Vector truck where they have that big hose on it, like where they clean out sewer drains and stuff.
Vactor.
Vactor, V-A-C-T-O-R, Vector. Sorry, I was talking fast. So those are the two things, right, Jen, that we were talking about? So we will bring we got on, I think on this one for Rainey's truck, but we will look into the Vector truck and bring it back next meeting after we talk to them about commissions and those kind of things to make sure we're all squared away on that one. But yeah, hopefully we can get a little more for that than we planned on.
Every bit helps.
Yes, it does. Any questions about those two? I think that Vector truck's been sitting for
Almost
while.
a year.
Yeah,
A year.
so be good to get that off our Tenino Library Building. We had talked about the library. You know, the library was interested in possibly purchasing that property. And we talked to them. Their board is aware that we're looking at this. The price is gonna kind of be the kicker a little bit. We had a realtor do a kind of estimate of the value of it. They came back with $500,000 as the estimated value of that building and property. I would mention that she said there was not a lot of comparables to look at. You know, there's not many buildings like that, so it's hard to get a real good, accurate. The ones they used were one here in Tenino that they valued at $325,000. The other one she used was in Tumwater on Lee Street that was valued at $500,000. It was similar. And then the other one was in Rochester, and that building was valued at $320,000. So there was three comparables. One was in Tumwater, which I kind of wonder sometimes if that, you know, is Tumwater comparable to what you would do? But
No.
anyway, she
I'd
came
see
up with
more
a
the
value.
Rochester one than the
Yeah, she
Elm.
came up with a value of $500,000. I did get on the county website today to look at the values that they had on there for the properties. And it's kind of shocking. I'll keep this one, I'll pass it down.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to let you know, just going back a couple years, in 2021, 2022, they valued it at $319,000. In 23, $567,000. In 24, it went down to $370,000, so that was the value this year. They have the estimated value in 2025 at $604,000, which just blows me away that it almost doubled, not quite doubled, but their estimated value of that building. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
understand how they got that
That's-
estimate.
I don't either. I mean, the market value of the building alone went from $324,000 to $515,000
Yeah.
just for the building. That's not any land. So for me, that doesn't
And
seem.
that's what they're gonna charge taxes on.
Yeah, well, we don't pay too much taxes, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
I know my property value went up a lot. I mean, the property part of it went up a lot this last time, but that seems crazy that it went from 370,000 to
I've
604.
heard a lot of people though say there's, some people say there's almost double.
So I will say, when we talked to the library, we were looking at this $370,000 kind of figure as an estimate of what we thought, you know, kind of the retail, I guess you'd say, value would be. After discussion with them, it's gonna need a new roof, you know, sometime in the next few years. The heating system's older too, and they have invested a bunch of money in that building, and they just did most of the work on the outside of that thing, so they have invested.
On the inside too.
And on the inside too over the years. When we were discussing with them, this is just kind of off the top of our head, so, you know, this is up to the council. A figure of around $250,000 to $300,000 that would be a fair price for them to purchase that building. I think what that does for us is, besides just the selling price, we don't have the maintenance and operation and maintenance costs. So we're paying $40,000 a year for operation and maintenance on that building besides. So we told them we'd come back to you, see if that seemed like maybe a reasonable figure, and then they would take that back to their board to see what their board thought of it. One of the other things that came up, they do provide, we're the only library in their area that they provide the after-hour services in, so they are providing a great service to our city. I think much like the food bank, when we talked about, you know, giving them, or selling the buildings down there to them for something less than market value. So I think there is a value besides just the dollars we're gonna get, that we need to take into
Well,
consideration.
it's gonna save us money in the long run.
It's gonna save us money in the long run. So, I'm just bringing that to you. We'll have to listen to your concerns. Obviously, we can't take action on it today, but does anybody have any thoughts or comments they would like to share on that? Do you think that's something we should take back to them and say, yeah, think we're in the right ballpark figures? Just wanted to check in with you to see what you thought of that.
Have they seen these figures?
I don't know if they saw the 604. We were looking at the 370. I think they just came out not too long ago with the 2025, so I don't know if they had seen
In
that.
October?
Yeah.
Is that
So-
when we got our property tax?
I think so.
Things in October.
I think $250,000 buys a lot of roof and heating system. Are the improvements they did of that much value? That's all tenant improvements, right?
Tenant improvements, yeah, they've done stuff. I mean, I don't know what it is over the years that they've done work inside and paid for it.
Well, they
Just
put,
put
was
the
it-
siding on.
They put the new siding on it.
I think it was last year they did the all new shelving. Didn't they do the
Yeah,
floors too?
carpeting,
They put new carpeting
Painting
in
and
it.
all
yeah.
throughout.
And who paid for the siding? I thought the city was doing that. Did they pay for their own siding?
Yes.
Yes, they paid for it. They said something about us paying, but they never billed it. We had budgeted $2,500 which is not close to what they paid for that siding project, but they've never asked us for it to this point. They were saying, well, we'll ask you just for what you budgeted, but they have not asked for it, so. Yeah, and to me, it's just like another one of those community service things that the only reason they're willing to even really consider it is because it's so close to Olympia. They can still do the maintenance on it and stuff easily without, you know, they wouldn't do it down in Aberdeen or Ocean Shores because they'd have to travel too far, you know, to do maintenance on it. So it's, yeah,
First right of refusal, you mentioned that previously. And let's
yeah,
make
that
sure
was the
that's
other
in the
thing. I thought
contract.
if they ever decided they were going to get rid of that building and do something different, that we would have the first right to buy that back. I think we did the same thing with the fire department when we sold that. So, I mean, I think, Jeff, maybe it's you that made the comment, it'd be nice to kind of have this block as a community kind of
Civic
facility.
center, yes.
Civic center, yes. So that first right of refusal, I would think, would be a good one to have in there that says, hey, if you ever decide to move for some reason, or something happens to the library and they have to shut down, or whatever it would be, we would be the first one that would have the right to purchase it back.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I forgot that one. What do you think? Should I go back and say that's
I think-
reasonable, or?
I think it's reasonable to ask 300,000 for it. considering what the,
The new appraisal.
yeah.
It's still
for
com-
what their
it's still coming in
appraisal is
under-
going to be for next year, I wouldn't say that that's unreasonable at all.
Yeah.
And it's still coming in less than it was for the, I would praise that for this year anyway.
Okay,
Of course, it all depends on whether or not the board even agrees to buy it.
right.
Anyway.
I mean, this is just a
Exactly.
preliminary, hey, we think we could do
Yeah.
it for this, and they're gonna have to take it back to their board, just like I would have to take it back to you ultimately if we reach some kind of a, tentative agreement, I guess you would call it. So I guess hearing that, we'll try to get into that range and see, what they're willing to do. I
Yeah,
mean, they
it's-
don't have to buy
They'll
it. I
come
mean,
up with 275,
Yeah, meet them in the middle.
yeah.
I suggested that we ask 375 or 350 and then let them counter, is what I suggested.
Well, that's true too, because they will come back countering without a
I think
doubt.
we kind of have a pretty equal understanding, but yeah, we'll, okay, well, I'll get back to them on that and, let them take it to their board and see what their board thinks, and then we'll get back to you, with that.
No need to play hardball.
Play hardball?
No need.
Don't, yeah. Discuss business license B&O. We have like 6 businesses in town that have not had a business license,
Really?
yeah, or paid B&O taxes for years and years. We've tried and tried and tried to,
So we have to come up with a plan.
yeah. Our rules right now say if they haven't paid, that the police are supposed to go there and shut them down. I mean, it says shall, it doesn't say may, it says shall. They should go down there and say until you pay your business, get a license and pay the fees. That's a tough one, Did we have that, did we bring that? I forgot that list, they showed them.
Yeah, we do have a list if anyone wants to see it. I don't know if we
Yeah,
should-
I wasn't gonna share, I wasn't,
Because I'm curious about why.
It is public record.
I wasn't gonna share it here in a public meeting, but,
Well, it's public
it is
record.
public record, but, yeah. So we have to decide how hardball we're gonna play with these places that,
It's hard because we want to keep businesses open
yes,
in the city too. We don't have that many businesses.
exactly. There's
And
like
that's-
6.
That's the hard part.
Yeah,
But
I know.
the other part is they own the business, it's their income. So will they pay the fees so they can stay open and earn a living?
Some of them don't even actually likely owe a fee, it's just a matter of.
They
paperwork.
haven't, yeah.
They're just not even filling out the forms to
If
submit
they
them,
just fill out
showing
the
they
form,
don't
I
owe
do it.
anything.
I never owe anything because my business is so tiny. But I do it
You
every
still
3
file your
months.
paperwork.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The
because
problem
it's
is
the
there's
law.
kind of late fees too on some of these that have been,
But if there's
there's
if
there's
they
no-
don't owe anything, there's no late
Yeah, I
fee.
know.
I mean, one of these is actually a restaurant.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like
It's,
the health department.
we've reported it to the health department as the city, so. I don't know how they're.
I mean, we've done a great job. I want to give Courtney a lot of shout out because we had, what, 50 or something when
Yeah.
we first started going through these? We had a bunch. She's got them all cleared up and up to
So
date,
we're down
except for
to
these
6.
six or
That
7, I
not
think it
many.
is.
She's done a really good job.
And it puts, saying the police have to go to these places and basically close them down, which is kind of the chief said, well, could we say may, change the language to may shut them down? We take it on an individual case, but that's hard too, because now people are gonna say your favorite,
Can
Yeah,
can
is
we,
that state? Isn't that state law or is that our law?
I think it's in our language, our city, ordinances that says that we shall do this. It's not a state law, but, I mean, there should be, if they don't have a business license, they're not in compliance with the state either.
Well, I was
wouldn't
gonna
think.
say, it must say it somewhere in the RCWs, it must.
yeah,
But we don't have a lot of control. I don't know how the state, deals with that kind of thing, but anyway, it's
has it
kind of
been
a,
turned into the state?
Yes, we've reported it.
You've reported it to the
We
state?
can deny their business license, or I'm sorry, you can deny their business license if they don't file their B&Os. So we send those threatening letters before we do that, but if they don't even have their business license, we don't really have anything to threaten
Yeah.
other than,
that's the hardest one for me. I
Right.
mean, some of these have been, not had
So
a
can
license for
we-
years,
Can we send the?
and we've let them slide.
I don't think letting them-
Policemen over there and
Just say,
Tell them they need to get in compliance so that they would not be shut down? Or so that I don't have to come back and shut you down?
I mean, they've gotten a lot of letters.
yeah. I don't know how
I
they
just don't
It's not a-
understand them
it's
ignoring
not
the
a-
letters, I don't
It's not a
understand.
physical body confronting them.
Yeah, it's not a person,
You know,
it's a letter, yeah.
that's a whole lot different when they really think somebody's gonna do something.
Well, I know how one business owner in this town feels about it. She is just upset because she complies.
Right, and that's the hard
You
part.
know,
We got all
she
these businesses
complies,
that pay their
and
bills and they
she
do their
pays, and
B&Os
she's got her license
and they see somebody next door that doesn't pay. and
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that's hard for,
That's-
you know, that's a
yeah.
hard pill to swallow when you're a business.
It
to-
is.
Yeah.
How
So-
far back are
Do you
these,
remember, Jen, how far back some of those business licenses were? It seemed like it was several, I mean, like,
Yes, none of them are new businesses, no.
several, like 5 years or 20 years?
I don't know, it's 20, it's over 5, I think, on some of them
It's
now.
probably close to 10, maybe one is longer than.
Okay, I'd say let's do a cutoff for 5 years, say pay up, send the police officer, I like that with a warning, second warning, and then do it, shut it down. I don't see any reason to change
So you don't
the code.
wanna change the, you don't
No,
wanna?
absolutely
okay.
not.
No, I wouldn't.
We just wanted,
The
it's a big
reason-
deal because
the
it's
reason that-
businesses in the town, so we just wanted to run it by you before
Yeah,
we,
it's-
you know,
it's a
I didn't
tough
wanna
thing.
take some
It's
action.
It
tough.
is
You know,
tough,
we want
but-
businesses.
The reason that I wouldn't suggest changing what's on the books in Tenino
Mhm.
is because the businesses came to the council and asked us to put it in.
Mhm.
It wasn't something that council decided we should do this. The businesses came to us.
Yeah.
So the ones that are paying
The ones that are in
should,
compliance.
are just fine, and the ones that aren't need to be held accountable to the law.
It's more the business
just-
license one to me than
it's
it
just
is the
like,
B&O, but.
It's just like jaywalking. We're
Mhm.
supposed to cross at the corners. If we don't, we're breaking the law. Yes, you've seen me, I walk around, I
Me
go to the
too,
corner.
I don't, I walk
I do.
across.
I know, you enjoy it.
That's
I
it.
walk around to the
We're
corners.
reporting you. Okay, we'll proceed, we'll look, we'll talk
We've
a little
already
about
had-
yourselves. It's kind of a big deal, so I wanted, before we started taking any action, I just wanted to kind of
But
let you
that's
guys
just it,
know
we
what's
have
going
taken
on.
action.
And, huh?
We have taken, we've already sent them out.
Well, we sent them
God
letters.
knows how
but-
many letters.
Yeah, before we go knock on their door saying we're gonna shut them down.
We should have
Yeah,
said, we should knock on the door a long time ago.
We should have, yeah.
Hey, can you move your mic a little closer to you? I'm getting feedback from the outside world.
Okay, is
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that one? Now we'll get down to the brass tacks of the work session, our proposed budget for 2025. I just want to go through this, and you kind of were all at the meeting on Saturday, so this is not something that's new for most of you. I went through this, but just for the publics that may be watching, or I want to go through this. Tonight, we're going to be talking about passing our tax, what we submit to the state for the county for our property taxes, and then we're going to be talking about our revenues for this year tonight in our regular session. But I just wanted to go through this with you to let you know kind of where we're at. As I talked about in the meeting, we're estimating $735,000 carryover. Again, like I said at the meeting, that is because we borrowed money. It's not because we have $735,000. I know you weren't there, Elaine, but so that amount, and all these numbers are still in flux because we haven't got to the end of the year yet, so we haven't settled all our accounts, but that's kind of an estimate where we'll be starting, and that all that money is the money that we did the interfund loan from. And that's kind of to help us through the start of the first of next year, because we have
That's
significant.
when all the big bills come.
Yeah, all the big bills come in. We won't have enough cash on hand, so when we borrowed that money, that was kind of the idea of the starting balances to give us that first couple of months until we start getting our tax revenues in.
Excuse me, is this $735,000, does that include the full $500,000 we borrowed?
No, well, yes. When I figured that was the full. Well, it was actually $1.8 million because 1.3 paid off the back stuff, and the $500,000 was kind of help us go forward.
Right, so we have basically a $235,000.
Yeah, we had a little bit, so.
Thank you.
And again, that could vary a little bit depending on expenses for the end of the year. I will say, kind of just as a general overall comment, we were trying to be very conservative on our revenues. I mean, this was advice I got from other people, is you don't want to get too high, because with the position we're in, we don't want to get to the end of the year and be at a spot where we're
In the
over,
hole again.
in the hole again. So they said, be very careful with your revenue projections, try to be conservative, so if anything, you get more money than you. So we've done that. As you can see, like on real and personal property taxes, we'll probably collect 330,000, looking at our, but we are a little bit conservative on that. Sales and use taxes, there's our other big revenue source, and we, again, a little bit conservative on that. And some smaller ones that we took some cuts in is our business utility tax for telephones. We're just not getting the revenue. That's kind of we're just not getting the revenue from our phone taxes. I just think people don't have as many landlines, so we don't
they
have.
don't?
Yeah, so our revenues from that is down
Yeah.
a little bit this year from what it has been. So if you look at this is our basic taxes, basically it's 57,000 less. Now I'm thinking we may kind of be even, at the end of the year, really. But again, we're trying to be conservative and make sure, if anything, we have a good, a better projection than we're showing here.
And this revenue is going into different accounts. It's going into the sewer account, it's going into general fund, it's,
This part is, no, this is
That's general
the
fund.
sewer funds, and all those are separate.
Yeah.
They're identified separate in here. This is just for the general fund.
okay, thank you.
Licenses and permits are the same. The big difference on this one is the building permits. I think we used kind of the estimated from last year again. We didn't get what we expected, so we reduced that amount to reflect similar to what we got last year. And Jen, chime in if I misstate anything. On page 2, under intergovernmental revenues, we last year had estimated we'd get 65,000. I think we're closer to 45,000. So again, we are conservative and put in kind of what we got last year there. The other ones are pretty much the same. Fees for services. Not many changes there. I think only one is the code enforcement building official contract, which we don't have anymore, so we zeroed that out. So there's a little less in that one. Fines, penalties is pretty much a wash from last year. Miscellaneous revenues. This is one where we see an increase. And that is primarily on page 3, under 360 miscellaneous revenues. If you look down to 362-000000, Ag Park Lease, North Building, Ag Park Lease, South Land. So those are the two buildings that should be coming online. They should be paying their lease fees on that, and that's what we're estimating we'll get for next year for leases for those two buildings alone. So $36,000 from the north building, which is, our building, and then $10,000 for the land part of the lease on the south building.
And we don't need to actually start paying back our loan for the Ag Park until 2026, is that
Right, 2026, and so my hope is that we can stuff that away and start building an account to,
Maybe consider doing another special fund, just
Yes.
to keep that there for the
So
maintenance of
yes,
the building's age.
I really we need to keep track of that separately, so we really know very clear what we're receiving in revenues and what we're spending, especially when we start having to pay back the loan. So I want to track those very closely, just like we should our restricted funds,
Right,
in my belief.
yeah.
So that one showed quite a bit of the $36,000 increase. Non-revenues are just a lot of miscellaneous hydrant meters, auto theft money we get from the state. Those increased slightly, but $5,000 on all those items, so.
We have the old Public Works warehouse rental,
Yep,
or building rental,
uh-huh.
but it's not rented, is it?
The electrician is still in there. So that's why it's reduced. The electrician is still in part of it right now and paying us for that.
Oh, okay.
What's not being done now is the stone carvers that had the smaller
Right,
part of
they're
it.
not in there.
So that's why this was
Right.
reduced a little bit, because
Okay.
we don't get any
Right.
revenue from them.
Right.
Excuse me, what account was that we're talking about?
This is on page 4, 380 non-revenues, or nope, sorry, 360
360.
miscellaneous revenues.
362.
4005,
Old Public Works building rental.
well, the one right above it, food warehouse rental too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, right below it. So anyway, that reflects, and now, again, that could change depending on if we do something with those buildings, but right now, since we don't have any agreements, we're just assuming that it's gonna stay as it is until we have some other agreement that would, change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest non-revenues, again, nothing much there. So if you look at the fund on page 5, total fund revenues, 1.664 million was like we had budgeted last year. It's in the bold lettering
Right
on
here?
page 5, yeah. Now, it looks like there's a huge increase there over last year, but that's because we borrowed that money. That's that $735,000. It makes it look like we're getting a lot more in revenue than we really are. So, yeah, it caught me off guard at first. It's like, how do we get so much more money? But it's that money we borrowed is what's inflating that a little bit above what it would normally be. So if you took that 700,000, it would be, again, about the same. It'd be 1.6, right around $1.6 million. So that's kind of the revenue part of it. You can spend a few minutes looking through it if you want to. I can answer any questions if you see anything else in there that's you have a concern about or questions about.
What are the, TRPC? What is that listed under?
Is that our fee for being a member of TRPC, I think? The TRPC, which page is that on, John?
What page is it on?
What page?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Oh, he wants to know where it is.
Oh,
Under fees and dues or something like that?
Yeah, but it's covered under a grant right now.
I was gonna say,
We have a
was
grant
that-
for that?
I think so. I think I read that,
Because
didn't I?
the assessments, I brought it up a couple months ago, and tomorrow at TPB, the assessment, the new budget for the next 5 years is coming out for approval. And if you remember, I said we're gonna be paying about $300 more.
Yeah.
we'll look into that one. If it's missed or it's not a
Dues,
grant,
memberships, and
we'll,
It might be under
miscellaneous.
streets if it, I'm assuming.
Okay, well, wherever it is, it's
it
gonna
may be
cost.
on another fund, yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's under, we'll look into that one and make sure it's covered someplace. If it's, either it's a grant or we're paying it directly, we'll make sure that it didn't get missed.
Okay.
Okay, if
Just so you
you,
guys know, that's to upgrade all the computer systems. They've got about luckily, 4 to 5 year lifespan before they have to be replaced because of technology, and that's what that extra money's for.
okay. So we'll dive, we're not gonna go into details on this tonight, but I just wanna give you a first kind of briefing of the expenditures. If you start looking at expenditures on page 5, I will kind of highlight to me what is the big thing with our budget. You go through these numbers and all these pages, and there's a lot of zeros, there's a lot of cuts. But just for example, under expenditures on page 5, 511, if you go down to the bottom line there, MNS service provider, you guys see that one? Page 5. Oh, you got it. She printed yours different than mine. I'm sorry, right here.
Oh, I got it.
So page 5, about the 5th line down, MNS service
511,
provider.
6042.
4203.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at our budget for next year, when we're talking about the revenue additions we're gonna see, with that 1% increase, I think it says we're gonna get like $2,000 more in property taxes. Look at this one line here,
Not according to some of the
MNS
property
service
taxes
provider.
I've seen.
Huh? Yeah,
Not
last
according.
year we budgeted 10,000, this year it's estimated to be $20,000. And that's just in this one area. This MNS service provider is kind of throughout the budget, and they're all way more. I mean, the amount it's increasing
Why
is, Jen, can you answer why
Because
it's
they
so
can.
much more this year? Just,
The IT,
yeah, the IT part of it?
we are over budget this year, so we just didn't
We
budget
what?
enough for it this year. So we're trying to make up, it's not increasing from what it is this year, but this year we're in the red on everything.
So I guess that's the, we underfunded it last year,
So-
so
so
now
this
it
is
looks like
different.
it's a big
Oh,
increase.
okay, but it's
Okay,
not, okay,
Gotcha.
got it.
It is an increase, because that's what we
But not that
budgeted, but
much,
yeah.
Yeah, but this last year we had that SLCGP grant, remember, to do that whole cyber
Yes,
upgrade,
yeah.
so that did kind of throw it a little.
Throw it on.
Okay.
If you go to the next page, the other big one it's throughout our whole budget, on page 6, insurance, it's 511604600. And this is like our property insurance and all the, the insurances we get through. Last year, we budgeted $10,864. This year, just in this one area, the proposed is $14,800. And if you go through this budget, it's over and over. You can see where there's any of these lines where there's a big increase. Judicial went from $5,000 to $7,500. Executive went from $7,300 to $9,500. I mean, there's significant increases just in our insurance that are impactful to our budget with
Yeah.
the little bit of increase. So I just want to make people aware, we've cut. I mean, if you look through all these lines where there's parentheses, those are all cuts we did. But every place you see a big increase, it's usually the MNS service provider or insurance costs. They're just going up exponentially.
As always.
So that's part of why this is very difficult when we're kind of in a spot where we're struggling anyway. Now we got some significant increases that are just, impact, making it even harder to get to where we need to be. So I just want to make you aware of that. Take this home, look through all these cuts that we've made. Please look through it. Like I said, any place there's parentheses around is lesser amount. And look at it and see what else you want to cut. We're balanced technically because we took that loan money, but we're gonna need to do more work to get to where we need to be on this.
We're not.
So please go through this budget. If you see things you have questions about or think we should look at doing something differently, please let us know because we're gonna have to figure out how to do some things differently.
We had the revenue from Verizon,
Mhm.
that contract. Is that the only company that
Yeah, it's their tower.
has access to it? I mean, like.
Oh, other people that are on that tower.
AT&T and T-Mobile, are any of those?
Yeah, I don't know how that
They
works.
all pay tax.
Pardon?
They all pay tax to us.
They pay a tax, but do they have access to towers? There's more towers than just Verizon in this
Yeah.
town, isn't
Yeah.
there?
Not in the city limits, we only have an agreement with Verizon,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe.
Because in
That's the only one I'm
2019,
aware
they
of.
had, in 2019, they had more on the.
The revenue or,
Yeah,
yeah, I
they
don't know.
had AT&T and T-Mobile on
Maybe they moved their work someplace else, I don't know. The only one I'm aware of right now is the
Verizon one.
Verizon, and we're
Okay.
gonna be talking about that one because they do have another
You're
proposal.
saying on 2019, they had it what, in the budget?
They had it written up in that budget thing,
What budget thing?
Just a
that
budget.
was put out, it was, if you,
This is the 2019 budget.
yeah, it was a
Wonder.
2019
We don't have it here.
thing.
I'll go
that
back
it
and
was
look tomorrow to see if I can see
I
anything,
just
but,
looked at different budgets and what they had on them, because they're all on the website. And I just was looking
Looking through
through
'em.
past ones to,
Just do a comparison.
yes, yes.
okay, I'll go back and look too, and just to see, out of curiosity, I had never caught that, so, but anyway, yeah.
Just a question I had.
Yeah. So the revenue part of it is pretty clear. I mean, there's not a lot of flexibility. I know we know what taxes we're gonna get, we're gonna receive and that kind of thing. Where we're really gonna have to work hard is on our expenditures. And so please, just take some time to go through this and with a fine tooth comb. And if you can think of any other ways that we can, it's hard, it's very difficult. I mean, like I said, we've cut a lot of the stuff the easy stuff, even some of the harder stuff, but we still got work to do. So I would appreciate any feedback that you can give us to kind of help us, you know. We're all in it together, so,
Yep.
So how does the loan, at 1.8 million loan repayment, how does that work with this
okay,
budget?
so if you look, I'll just go towards the end of the budget here. I mean, you can take your time to go through all the different areas and say, you know, hey, here, what's this, but if you look on page, at least on mine, I printed it out, it's on page 23. As basically where it shows the total expenditures for the years. It's in, again, in bold, should be in bold. Did I get the right page?
23.
It's 23 on
22 bottom.
Total
Revenues.
expenditures is on 22, page 22.
I printed mine out different, it's double-sided versus single-sided.
Oh.
So mine are not, okay, so page 22,
Got it, right here.
yep. Okay,
See it?
so if you look at the bottom line, you'll see last year we had budgeted $1,872,000 for expenditures. This year we're at $2,263. That is, if you look through the rest of the budget, $600,000 is, of expenditures is for repaying the loan. So again, this looks like we're spending a lot more, but $600,000 of that is for paying that loan.
Okay,
Plus $24,000 of interest, so $624,000 of that is paying back that
Okay.
loan. So actually, what we're really spending has been cut, if you take that part out.
But we're also adding another $500,000 of debt.
that's included in that, isn't it? The payback.
That's included in that
Yeah,
payback,
it's included in that.
because we assumed 1,800,000 total, so that includes the 500,000 and the 1.3 million that we already, we've already transferred that over.
Yeah.
Our financial person says, wait, I think his comment was on that 500,000, kind of wait till the end of the year, I think, to see exactly where we're at and kind of do it when we do the final budget adjustment, because we have the money right now, but, so he said just hold off and move in the 500,000. But in our budget consideration, we assume we're gonna do the whole amount, and I think we're gonna need to, so. So that's where the 600,000 came up, is 600,000 this year, 600,000 next year, 600,000 the year after, and 600,000 those 3 years.
Now, so is the first reading of the budget gonna be tonight or next time, on the 27th?
Tonight's the first reading, right?
Yes, this
Yep.
is the first public hearing.
First public hearings tonight, and then the second will be at the next
Okay.
meeting. So there's still time to make comments, for the public to make comments,
Yeah,
and the council,
for
if
us
there's things
to,
we want to change, we
right.
can still do that between now and the final adoption.
Okay.
Okay. It'd help me understand this if we just took that $500,000 loan out of the numbers here. Now, in my mind, and the proper use of it is not as a loan, but as a buffer. You know, we should be able to balance our budget without using that as part of our expenses, and in occasions where the ebb and flow of revenue is more than we have in the bank, then we can draw from that temporarily until we get a boost and then put it back, rather than
Yeah.
considering it part of our revenue.
Yeah, I have kind of mixed feelings on it, because I kind of thought that too. Well, just put it in there when we need it. But like I said, I think just looking at our budget, we're gonna need it, especially in those first couple months of 2026, because again, we're not getting much revenue in those first few months. So my calculation is we're gonna need it right away, and let's just move it. What we can do, if we don't use it all, we can say we're gonna dedicate that to paying back the loan versus, having to go put 200,000 this
Right,
month and
right,
200,000 the
right.
next month. Put it all in there. If we come through the year and we're doing okay, or
Then we
in
can-
the middle
then
of the
we can
year,
use it
then
to
we can say,
pay.
hey, we took too much, let's put that back towards the loan.
Okay,
To me, that makes just the accounting
Yeah.
easier than instead of trying to do 2 or 3
I agree.
transfers.
Well, I'm concerned that by doing that, we're gonna lose sight of, we have a deficit that we need to
I
actually
won't let
take
that
care of.
happen. I won't let that happen. I know, that's why I've talked to you, it's like, this kind of gets us balanced on paper, but at the end of 2026, we're gonna need a chunk of change to pay back the next year's loan, and we can't take another loan to pay back a loan. that doesn't make sense, so.
No,
I know some people may do that sometimes, but.
I'm sure
I've
it's
heard of people
happened.
borrowing money to get out of debt.
So that's my approach. If the council wants to do something different, this is your budget, but that's the way I would approach it. And I understand how, I understand, because I had the same thought to a certain extent when I first started looking at it.
To me, the fundamental issue is, are we doing deficit spending regardless of the loan? Do we still
Yeah.
need to do cuts in the city, so we're you know,
Yeah,
first rule of finding yourself in a hole is to stop digging.
Mhm.
You know, and we need to be paying no more out than we're getting in, regardless of this $500,000, how we use that. And
Yep.
I'm concerned that be met in the budget that we're doing here.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're having this look at it and asking you to, you know, the advice we got when we transferred this money from our accountant that helps us with this stuff. He says, try not to end the year with much less, more than you started with. So we're starting with $735,000. He's saying you should be cutting stuff so you're close to that at the end of the year, or you're doing exactly what you said. We're using borrowed money to balance our budget.
Are you proposing that we'll be cutting budgets to get to that during the course all through next year?
Yes, I think so, because like we talked about with him, this is kind of getting us over the hump so we can pass a balanced budget, but we're gonna need to be doing more cuts. And I would say, when we pass this, we're gonna have to, as soon as we pass it, start looking at where we can do more.
Okay, I get the point of a paper exercise
Yeah.
to just get us through our requirements.
I mean, we can still do cuts. If you guys say, hey, we want to cut something in here this year, you know, in this proposed budget, we can do those. We can do additional cuts, but it kind of gives us some breathing room. We're kind of in a tight timeline here that we need to get this passed and get moving on. I mean, moving on past getting this adopted.
Okay, I get that, but
Yeah.
I think we in no way should think that we're out of the woods
Yes.
with this. We
Well, I
still
don't
have.
think any of us
Yes.
feel that we're out of the woods.
And yes, and like I said at the meeting, we don't have right now very good processes to inform the council on exactly where we're at on our budget. You know, we don't see the numbers from our bank accounts, so you can say, hey, how come our bank account's now getting down real low? And it's my commitment to you that we're gonna start doing a better job, so you know exactly every meeting we have, what we spent, what our bank accounts look like, so you can see. I wanna make it very clear so people can see where we're going with our budget.
I would recommend that instead of a mid-year budget adjustment, that we take a solid look every 3 months.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to do another one at the end of this year, because when we transferred all that money, we just put it in our general fund, and we got several funds so we're gonna have to do another budget adjustment at the end of the
No,
year.
I'm talking about from the
For next
beginning
year.
of next year.
Yeah, quarterly, do a quarterly
Do a
review.
quarterly budget adjustment, so we don't get in this kind of a thing.
Right.
And then we'll actually be able to see if we're spending the money that we got from the sewer fund, if we're spending it all, or if we're just spending some of it.
Yep, I agree. That's a great
That's a good
suggestion.
idea, actually.
Yeah.
I agree that a quarterly review is important, but I think waiting 3 months in before we start cutting more expenses is gonna
Yeah.
That's
put.
not what I said.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not what he meant.
Yeah.
I know, but
I
I'm
mean-
saying, yes, absolutely, let's do a quarterly review, but let's not wait 3 months before we
Yeah.
start. I mean, this is our quarterly review right now, saying we're still, what, $500,000
Yeah,
in debt?
yeah. And
Right,
yes,
or-
the longer we wait to make the cuts, the harder it is gonna be to balance
Yeah.
it, so.
Exactly.
We
My
have
point.
to, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the overview. We're getting close to 7:30. Is there any questions? Feel free, if you have questions, come in, get a hold of me. I'll come in and go over it with you. If there's anything you have questions about, call me, send me an email or text. I will take whatever times it needs to get with you and make you feel comfortable about what you're seeing here and take any suggestions from you.
I think this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Well, it is, it's just ridiculous.
We should go to the Board of Adjusters and get that price changed.
Yeah, I guess. That's awful. I'm serious.
It takes like 3 years though, so it wouldn't help us any.
Look at here.
Yeah, no, 127 in 2014.
And it went down and up a little bit.
So our regular meeting will start in 10 minutes.
Do you wanna?
You wanna do the
Well, we
reports?
could do a few reports, I guess.
Yeah, let's get the reports done.
You want to read that one, or you want me to read it?
You're doing great. I know, I love it.
So I'm just going to read this one real quick while I have it here. George Sharp sent in, says, I'm not able to attend the council meeting tonight. Here are my reports. Tenino Area Chamber of Commerce. The chamber will be holding a social for businesses and nonprofits on Wednesday, November 20th, 5:30 p.m. at the Kodiak Room. It's free to attend. And I also heard you can bring spouses. At least that's what they told me, if you'd like.
The what?
Bring spouses,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
We bring spouses.
The annual Christmas tree lighting will take place on Friday, December 6th from 6 to 7 at Valley View Clinic, free to attend. The chamber annual holiday auction will follow the tree lighting and will be held at the Tenino Eagles, free to attend.
Did you tell Leah what my
No.
idea?
No. I'm not gonna spring that one till like the day before.
He's giving a lunch for the Christmas auction, and I said, would really be nice if you and Leah had someone come to your home and have a lunch at your home.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
You don't wanna do that?
Thanks for
We'll
coming.
drive them by our house so they can see where I live. How about that?
You don't want people knowing where you live, huh? I wouldn't either.
The second Thurston EDC, the next EDC event is the Regional Economic Forecast and Innovation Expo, December 5th.
$100 a ticket.
Huh?
$100 a ticket.
Yeah, I bought a ticket for that, so I'll be going to that. Just
Well, I'll be there too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work the city.
we got to promote that ag park.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
The South Thurston study, the next study meeting will be this Friday, November 15th, 8 a.m. to 9:30 at the Yelm Community Center. Yelm will be giving an overview of all the successes they have had this year, funding sources, and lessons learned. They will also be introducing their new pop-up museum and documentary film. Wow, documentary. So that's all he had. Go through the list here.
Might as well
Chamber of Commerce.
You already did that.
Chamber EDC
you
did that. South Arch
Steady, you
Commission.
did that. She's not here.
VCB, I don't think we have anything there. Timberland may be here later. Civil Service Commission, I do not, thought they had a meeting, but we'll see if
We
Jody's,
did have one, but I don't think there was anything on the agenda.
okay, we'll see if they show up for that. Facade Improvement Grant,
Well,
probably
you know,
nothing there.
I'm still trying to get a hold of Casey, for the hotel and talk to her about that, to see if she hasn't turned any receipts in, has she? I need to get a hold of her and tell her she needs to get those in if she's got any for this year.
Finance Committee, we are going to meet we had the state audit that we have an exit interview on November 20th at 1 p.m. So the Finance Committee is going to attend that. It's an online thing.
I
And
thought
then
it was 2 p.m.
It is 2 p.m.
2?
2 p.m.
Good thing I wrote that.
I emailed you the link,
Okay.
Dave.
Is it two that online?
Yeah.
Yeah, online.
Oh, I thought you said one a while ago.
I thought I said
Sorry,
2.
now you guys are confused. Hold on.
And then we will have a
put down
Finance
2.
Committee meeting after that. I think we talked about
Yeah.
the official meeting instead of a Planning Commission. They have a meeting tomorrow,
You know,
hopefully.
because
It is at 1 o'clock, I'm so sorry, it's at 1
It's at
o'clock
1?
on the 20th. You guys, everybody got it?
Okay.
I tell you.
I better put
It
it
is
in
at
my phone.
one.
1 on the 20th.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So then we'll just immediately.
we should get somebody from the planning commission to give us an update of what they're doing, because it's a radical change from what it's a whole lot of new stuff that's gonna be put in there because the state says so.
Yeah, I would say too, we're gonna have 2 vacancies. I think we're gonna have another resignation at the next meeting. So now we got 2 spots to fill, and you said you
I've
maybe
got-
had one.
I gave Misty Will's phone number, and I told Will Saturday that.
Okay.
And he said there was somebody else too that was
Interested.
interested.
But anyway, if you think of somebody that might wanna be on the Planning Commission, please let them know. I think sometimes you need to ask. People just won't sign up necessarily, so
You have to
please
twist
ask if
their
you know
arm a
anybody.
little bit.
Yeah. Public Safety Committee, do you guys have anything?
No.
Public Works, you guys?
No, it's, our meeting is not until December 6th.
10th.
10th, yeah.
Clerk Treasurer?
I don't have a report.
Oh, man, you're putting me on the spot now. I wasn't ready. I was waiting for her, so I.
I do have something for Jessica, December 7th, Christmas at the museum.
Okay.
Oh, did Judy Creditman get a hold of you? She was gonna get a hold of you or Jessica.
About the oven?
No,
Oh,
about the
then no.
Christmas tree.
Yeah,
She's going to.
I'll let
They'll-
Jessica handle it.
They'll work out, she said we'll work out something.
Beautiful. Great.
I'll have to be honest with you. I didn't probably prepare for this as much as I should,
Well,
thinking
that's
about
okay.
it. Yeah.
You've
I've,
you've been-
yeah,
you've
basically
done
been
enough
working on the
preparing.
budget. I've gone
Yeah.
to some meetings, but there is,
Don't worry about
I don't
it.
think there's anything that's significant. There's just
Yeah.
kind of the mayor's meeting with Olympia and Tumwater. That was kind of interesting. You probably saw in the news that
Mhm.
Olympia is like laying off 24 people to
Oh.
try to balance their budget. Yeah, I think they have still $2.3 million they're trying to cut or
Well,
something.
they have a huge staff too.
Yeah, they have 600 people. I couldn't, it's almost 700
Wow.
for the city of Olympia.
Well,
Largest
it's very
employee in
sad for the
Olympia.
people, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, like people said, there's other people that are facing some budget difficulties too.
Almost
but-
every
Yeah,
jurisdiction is city, county, almost, in the whole state. Almost every one of them are.
so yeah, sorry about that. I should have been more prepared, but I will be next time. Liaisons, be that.
Do that.
I'm sorry, be that notes. Okay, Bucota. On the 21st of this month, they're going to have the Friends for Life, which is an organization to inform and educate people about fentanyl and naloxone, and there'll be, I guess, naloxone training there for people who are interested in that. It'll be at the City Hall from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
What's the date?
21st November.
It's a Thursday.
Thanksgiving week.
No, no,
Oh, we
next
forgot.
week, the next week afterwards.
Also, the first Monday is something Bucota does. I guess they did it last time. And they did bracelets with the Sergeant Matt, and did other activities there. There'll be another one in December. That'll be, I believe, the 2nd.
Is it legal for him to put those kids in those bracelets?
So, Bucota folks, or indeed Tenino folks, that's something you can take the kids to and have some fun.
Okay, Solid Waste Advisory Committee, our board.
That what, basically all we did at the solid waste meeting was the hazardous waste management plan update, which is required every 5 years. And so they presented in a PowerPoint. October meeting, they did the first 3 chapters, and they did the last 3 chapters this time.
Okay.
That was pretty much the whole meeting.
TCOM, anything from TCOM? Tenino School Board?
I regret I worked late. Go ahead,
You have something? Cause
just briefly.
Okay, yeah, because their next one is on the 25th. But before you go on, Jeff, I wanted to say, I know, Mayor, you and I have had differences, in the past and stuff, but I really think it was awesome of you to have that town hall over the weekend and stand up there and answer all those questions from the community. So I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying something.
Look at this team.
And I know I'll make mistakes, but
Well, we'll tell you.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Please
we'll
tell
come.
me.
I'll definitely come to you next time.
Okay, I appreciate that. That actually means a lot to me.
What?
Confrontational than it was.
Pardon me?
I feared it would be way more confrontational than it was.
Yeah, I didn't know what to
I think-
expect either.
I really think the people handled themselves well the
We're kind of
meeting.
off subject, but, okay, yeah.
And I agree, the speakers that came here made me proud. It was a contentious subject, and everybody was civil and polite, even those who were highly critical. Good for Tenino. I would like to say there's still a lot of misinformation floating out there from all the editorials and postings and whatnot, and I think at some point we really ought to address the information that people have right now and make some corrections.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can, through this budget process, we can, people can come in and ask questions, and if there's misinformation, we can hopefully clear those up,
You're always gonna have naysayers. There's always gonna be people that are
no matter what you
that are
do.
gonna spout the misinformation without even trying to get the true story. So, I don't know how you can conquer that
Yeah.
unless you
You just have to
get
look at
your own
everything we're doing
TV
today,
show
politics.
or
Yeah.
something, go on the radio or something.
Anything else from the school board?
Yes, I was late to the meeting due to work, but I do know that they approved the construction of 2 new dugouts on the JV field for the fast pitch girls. So they've got some shelter come February. And the nice thing about that is that it's a community project. It's going to be people volunteering and materials and time. The high school kids are in the shop classes, the welding and the woodworking have a chance to actually have some real world experience. So I think it's going to be a good way for the school district to get some new assets, for students to get some real experience, and for the community to show once again that we can come together and do something for the benefit of all just by working together. So I look forward to I'll be there. I'll be swinging a hammer. I look forward to seeing that getting done next year.
Nothing else? I was just gonna add on to the school board also. We had a meeting with the superintendent and I think their facilities person. They're talking about doing a levy or whatever to build a new facility, and part of that would be using where the soccer fields are now behind the middle school. So they're trying to find places where they can replace those soccer fields, because construction is gonna take some time. So they've asked us if they could use the grass area down here at our park, where we've done soccer in the past. They say if we're willing to work with them, they would do a lot of the maintenance and try to get that area down there so it's usable for soccer fields. So I think it would be a great partnership. We have a lot of dirt, and we've been talking about trying to do something with that area down there, but they're willing to step in and kind of try to get that fixed up so it's a good usable
Would
area.
that impact our Oregon Trail Days at all?
I mentioned that to them. It's like, if we're doing any work, we need to think about Oregon Trail Days on how.
Because they have spread out into that
Yeah,
area.
so I did mention that we need to consider that if they're looking at doing construction
Yeah.
specifically, but anyway, so I
That
think
would
that's
be
a great.
nice if that soccer got cleaned out over
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
'cause
I mean, ever since I've been in this town,
City.
it's been an issue with that
They're
area
not-
being used for soccer fields.
They're not gonna be there permanently, are they?
They said they're gonna need it for like they were saying 10 years.
Whoa,
I thought it's just gonna be like until they said by the time they do the construction, tear down the old buildings and get everything
well,
reconfigured
it's a
over there.
community park,
Yeah,
It's 7:30.
Oh,
okay. It is 7:30. So I will call to order the regular meeting of the Tenino City Council for November 12th.
I'm waiting for you to tell us to stand up.
Yeah, please stand up for the flag salute. John?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have before us an agenda for the regular meeting.
Move approval?
second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of minutes. We have meeting minutes from 10/22/24.
Move approval?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from 10/22/24. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent calendar, I have that here someplace. The consent calendar for October 23rd, 2024 through November.
Whoa, hold on. There's an error on there. It does say, no, that's right, October
Yeah.
22. Does that one say 23?
Yeah, it says 23.
it's 22.
Is it
I
22?
think so.
Mine says
The
22.
agenda says 22. Hold on.
Mine
Sorry.
says
I'm
22.
sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
On
I just
here,
wanna make sure I have it right.
It says 24.
It should be 23, because the last meeting was on the 22nd.
so
It is the
it's wrong
23rd?
on the
It's on the
on the
agenda.
agenda then, it's wrong on the agenda.
You're really throwing me off tonight.
I know, that's what his says too.
Okay, here we go again.
Okay.
Let's try. We'll try a second time.
was gonna say,
The consent
mine-
calendar for October 23rd, 2024 through November 12th, 2024, consisting of payroll EFTs, who Rhonda says I've been saying ETFs
I
for
love it.
years.
Thank you.
So I'll get that right. It's EFTs in the amount of $87,960.11. Claims checks 32,798 through 32,845, and EFTs in the amount of $517,945.95 for a grand total of $605,906.06. And I see no liquor.
Yeah, there is.
Move.
Cannabis Northwest
And Evans.
in Heddens. Sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
how I got something different
It's
on
not
mine.
on here.
Move approval.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded, moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. I will just add on this discussion for this one real quick. There's some, well, the reason this is so high this month, that we had like a 200,000 payment for, and almost 300,000 in payments for the ag park. We should be getting that bunch
Park
back.
Ave.
Park Ave, the Park Ave overlay, and then there was a couple
There
for
was a couple.
Traverse. So a lot of this is those couple of
The
big
money will
projects.
be coming back.
I think it's already in the process to be
Yeah.
getting the money back, so this seems high, but it's covering a couple big projects. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, public comments. This is our chance for you to speak if you would like to. Anybody want to speak? Okay, seeing none, public hearing. Let me find the right paperwork for that. We are having a public hearing on, I'll just read this. State law provides that each municipality hold 2 public hearings prior to budget adoption in order to provide the opportunity for public input. Tonight's hearing will focus primarily upon revenues for the 2025 budget. And so, I gotta find that. I know you put it in order. There it is. Got it.
They kind of look the same.
You want me to read all this? Or you gonna read
Yeah,
it?
you have to read that one, and then I have my own. I know, I'm sorry. Protocol.
Talking too much. So, public hearing procedure. The public hearing is for public input and discussion of the 2025 budget revenues. This public hearing will proceed in an orderly fashion, and I would like to ask your cooperation in the following procedure. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to be heard. The clerk will be recording what is said. Therefore, when you address the council, please begin by stating your name and address. Before hearing from the audience, I'm going to introduce Jen Sharber to present information about this project.
Good evening, council members, mayor, and members of the public. This evening, I'm going to introduce you to the city's 2025 budget. In a particular focus on revenues, I will begin with a discussion of the methodology employed to arrive at our revenue and expenditure decisions. We have several different ways at arriving at our projections that I will explain. In the first priority, revenues fixed by contract. For example, revenues from the Tenino School District are fixed by a contract, and we know exactly where those revenues will be. Second priority of revenue projections provided by other agencies. For example, in the area of state-generated revenues, the Municipal Research and Service Center provides a calculator that can be used to compute the city's projected share of the state's revenues for criminal justice programs, marijuana enforcement, and liquor control board profits. The third priority is simple averaging. The majority of the projected revenues were arrived at by a simple averaging of the city's past record of expenses. Specifically, the actual revenues realized in 2021, 2022, and 2023. We also included in this comparison the budgeted versus actual amounts received in 2024. Where the budgeted amount exceeded the actual revenues, the budgeted amount was used in the averaging computations. Where the actual amount received exceeded the budgeted amount, actual revenues were used. In the area of license and permits, the figure presented for business license renewals is the average of the 2023 and 2024 years. The fourth priority is judgment and experience. In some cases, usually as a result of extreme variations in the years above mentioned, the budgeted amount for 2025 was either raised or lowered after a conversation between the affected department head, the mayor, and the clerk treasurer. Some of the more important features in this budget are: 1, public safety tax. In 2024, we obviously didn't start receiving that until June, so that revenue will be increased next year, considering we'll be taking it in the entire year. We have increased revenues from rentals. As you know, we have the it's the Port of Olympia Small Cities grant that we're kind of creating a wedding venue area over by the Quarry Pool. We have added that projected revenue to, right now it's just under park and picnic rentals. I'm hoping to create its own specific line item in there. As Dave talked about earlier, the sale of surplus, the Vector truck, possibly some properties. Parades and special events, we're going to try to not waive fees on those types of things and just start actually collecting the revenue of those. Next meeting, you guys will have a copy of the salary schedule. We are hoping to increase shut-off. Right now, shut-off and late fees, you get a $25 fee for your utility bill, and then if you get shut off, it's a $40 shut-off fee. It's a ton of staff time to create tags. It's a ton of staff time to distribute them to houses. So, and it's the same 30 to 40 people every month that are getting them. So we're hoping if we can increase those fees, we won't be getting them. And then B&O taxes, we've kind of just figured them on past history, but we have 5 new businesses coming in the egg park. So all those businesses will be generating B&Os, and we really have no idea what that looks like, but hopefully it exceeds where we're at. So, any questions? Okay.
I didn't get that. Would you do it again?
So,
Sure. I'd be happy to.
Thanks, Jen.
okay, at this time, the floor is open for comments from the audience. In fairness to all in attendance, each person will be given an opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 3 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available to everyone after everyone has had a chance to speak. I am requesting the council members to hold their questions of the public until everyone is done.
Come on, you
Come
don't
on,
want to get
somebody's got to
3
say something.
minutes. You can get up there and talk for 3 minutes.
I'm going to ask again, any public testimony? Hearing none, are there any in the audience who would like an additional non-repetitive information? Council members, do you have any questions for the audience or staff? Here's your chance. You have any questions again?
The questions, what?
Do you have
Do you have
questions
any
for us? Any questions for the staff?
I have a question on the budget.
Okay.
On the added tax here that
The
you're
ad
submitting.
valorem, you mean?
The ad-
We're doing
That's
that
the
one
next,
next.
that's the next one.
That's our
This
next
is just
meeting.
the public hearing on the budget.
Okay.
What do you, I don't know what you're looking at. there.
Ad
The
valorem.
ad
Ad
valorem
valorem.
tax.
Yeah, I-
Okay,
Yeah.
is that the next meeting? We're doing that one? Okay. So,
We're
yes,
doing that next topic.
next topic is ad valorem
Yeah.
tax. Yeah.
Number
So,
10.
the public testimony for this hearing is now closed.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks to the public.
It was nothing, Rick.
Yeah. Whoops, excuse me. I can get my feedback there. The next one is Thurston County has provided.
Don't we have to vote on that?
No, it's
Recommend,
first read.
move to accept administrator's recommendations?
We should probably move to accept it as the first.
First
As the
reading,
first
yeah.
reading.
That's right, sorry.
So moved.
It's been moved to accept the
Second.
first reading, seconded. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is Thurston County has provided the assessed valuation and property tax worksheet for the purpose of calculating and the ad valorem property tax for fiscal year 2025. The city will hold 2 public hearings as required by RCW 84.55 on November 12th and 26th. It is required to pass a resolution adopting the 2025 property tax by November 30th, 2024. So here we go again. I get to read it all over. I'm glad you gave me 2 copies of this so I can read it again. The public hearing is for public input and discussion on the 2025 ad valorem tax levy. The public hearing will proceed in an orderly fashion, and I would like to ask your cooperation in the following procedure. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to be heard. The clerk will be recording what is said. Therefore, when you address the council, please begin by stating your name and address. Before hearing from the audience, I'm going to introduce Jen Sharber to present information about this project. Here we go.
Try not to say too many times. Good evening, council members, mayor, and members of the public. This evening, I'm going to introduce you to the proposed ad valorem tax levy for 2025. The ad valorem tax levy is limited by the state legislature as the highest of the implicit price deflector, or IPD, which is similar to the consumer price index of 1%. The steps used to compute the city's share of ad valorem taxes are: 1, determine the regular property tax limit; 2, determine the highest lawful levy. Washington state law allows for local jurisdictions to levy a maximum of $3.60 per $1,000 of assessed value. Local jurisdictions include cities, fire districts, and library districts. The city, as the senior taxing authority, must reduce the amount of its levy in proportion in the amount assessed by the juror taxing authorities, Fire District 12 and the Timberland Regional Library District. Number 3, determine the actual levy. This year's levy amount would represent an increase of $2,041.97. So that's all I have if you have questions. I did chat with the Thurso County Assessor's Office. They've walked me through this. They've reviewed it to make sure that we are at the highest maximum amount. And it also includes the 1 cent, what's the word?
Banked capacity.
Banked capacity.
1 penny we got extra.
Every penny counts.
It's true.
Okay, at this time, the floor is open for comments from the audience in fairness to all in attendance. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the council for an initial period of not to exceed 3 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available to everyone after everyone has had a chance to speak. I'm requesting the council members to hold their questions of the public until everyone is done.
We're good, thank you.
Are there any in the audience who would like an additional non-repetitive information? Council members, do you have any questions of the audience or staff?
Yes.
I have 2 people have questions over here.
Okay.
Okay. You might want to take a second look because we're South Thurston Fire and EMS, not 12.
Okay, so that's just on my script that I probably read that wrong. So it doesn't say that on the worksheet that they gave us. And also it should be noted that the fire and the library rate are estimates because they just don't know.
No, she answered my questions when she read that statement.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anything else?
To clarify, this is the 1% tax we can raise without an election?
People. Yeah.
Yep. Plus 1 penny.
Don't forget the penny.
And we are going to vote on this resolution later on, so we will not vote on this right now. This is coming up under resolutions to vote on this. Wait. Yeah, it's a resolution. How come we didn't have a resolution before?
Yeah.
Anyway, under resolution, there's a resolution to accept this as a first reading. So we'll just do it when we get down to
Okay.
resolutions. Okay, no proclamations. Old business, Verizon lease agreement. I just wanted to run this by you. We looked at this lease agreement a while back, and you said, hey, let's just stick with you just said we just want to stay with where we're at.
$900 a month, right?
She did call me because she called Jen like 4 times a day, so Jen gave her my number
We're
finally.
best friends with her.
It's like a daily conversation. They really,
Today, by the
they're,
way.
I wanted to bring this to you because they did make a change. The monthly amount, if we wanted to stay with the monthly amount, was still the old thing, $900 versus $1,100, but they did change the lump sum payment option. They offered to provide a lump sum of $195,000 in return for a 40-year easement on the property. So I think the old one was $215 for a 99-year lease.
Right.
So they're now offering $195,000 for a 40-year lease. And just so you kind of know the conversation a little bit that we had, I think maybe part of why they're trying to push this a little bit is technology is changing so quickly with cell stuff, you know, like my phone, I can even, if we have no cell service, I can use a satellite now. I mean, the unknown is where's technology gonna be in the next, you know, are they even gonna need cell towers? So I guess that's the push and shove that we're looking at here. You know, we could say we're just gonna stay with our old thing, and at some point they all of a sudden say they don't really need those cell towers. They're gonna, you know, use satellites or put mini repeaters like they're talked about doing with 5Gs all over. So the question is, do we wanna take the chance of?
Leave it at 15 plus, wasn't it 15 years plus 5-year
Yeah,
increments?
it's, it was,
4
for
times
5 years and then 4
Yeah.
additional 5-year renewals.
Renewals,
So
yeah.
20 years, it would be 25 years and basically,
And they want it for 40 years.
for one-time payment versus the, yeah.
And when does our current contract expire? That was a couple of years out, wasn't it?
I forget, I'm sorry, I
I
forget.
think it's 2026 or 7.
Yeah, it's in the next couple of years. Now, attorney says they can't just back out of it until 2027, but I think when they want to do a renewal, they could say, but the other thing is it costs $400,000 to build one of those towers. Are they gonna really, you know? So it's kind of one of those things, it's,
Is this going up 10% in 5 years?
every 5 years. So
Every
it's
five.
900 for the first 5 years, then it would go up to 990 for the next 5 years, and so it's 10% every 5 years. So basically 2% a year, it goes up.
Or we pay the 195 for 40 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it. It's,
I know, that's a long
I
time.
think we should leave it the way it is.
I agree, it's less than 50%
Yeah.
revenue
Yeah.
by accepting the lump sum. On the other hand, if we get really tight, having to choose about
Yeah,
cutting
and-
employees or whatever in this next year as we can make our budget balance, yeah, it's an option to keep in our back pocket, I
Well,
think.
I don't know if it's gonna be an option for, you know, she's been calling us every day for the last, what, 6 months or something, Jen, probably?
Yeah.
I mean,
Really?
She's very
Daily?
aggressive.
yeah, I mean, they.
Stop answering, maybe she'll lower it more.
Yeah.
And my experience in the communications industry, and I worked for a satellite company for a while, is the technology is always changing, and there's things coming down the road that you and I will not hear about.
That's my only thing, is like, yeah, who knows what 10 years, I mean,
Who knows what 2 years is gonna bring?
yeah. So it's just a judgment thing. I have mixed feelings about, you know. On one hand, I think, well, we could use $195,000, but would we just settle that just because we're in a bad spot? It would be helpful. It would sure be helpful if we had that money and could pay down some of that debt, additional debt. But that means the longer term, there's a possibility that we get less revenue if we, you know, stick to our guns and say.
And you're committed to having someone lease that property for 40 years.
Yeah,
With no further income.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I say we stay with the monthly for this,
for the rest of this contract period and then look at it after that.
right.
So you want to stay, whatever our contract ends this year, we'll talk to you when
Yeah.
this contract ends still.
Or let it ride a year and we can reevaluate.
See,
I'm curious about the contract whether only Verizon can use our tower, or if they're able to sublet.
well, the other interesting thing is because private companies apparently buy these leases. I don't know if they buy them up and then lease them back to the cell tower or like the phone companies, because we had got a proposal some time ago, before this even came up here, from like a private company saying, kind of offering us something similar to what we have here, but there's there are private companies that buy these leases up, and then I'm guessing they go to the, you know, the different phone companies and.
Well, let's not make it any more confusing than it already is.
But anyway, I'll just tell her we're staying with the current contract to the end of it, and we'll talk to you when
12
that
months.
comes up.
Give me a year. Let's see what comes down.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, Gus.
Are you gonna? I'm looking at you.
I'm sure she'll call for him.
I was gonna say, are you gonna draw straws as to who talks to her?
Yeah.
I think you
No.
both should call her. Both
That's
of
one nice thing about being there. I can't say,
No, Jen's in a meeting with
you. You call her, yeah, and you call her, both of you.
both of you, okay.
Yeah.
At the same time?
No. Wait an hour or so and then call her.
Just put her on speaker. You
She's
both
very
be in
nice.
there.
She's nice, she's just, yeah, she's aggressive. Old business, Thurston County Sheriff's Office agreement, we looked at this, last meeting. This is for the coverage, during the hours where we don't have officers on duty. It's for 3 years at the same rate as we're paying now. So we're asking you to approve this agreement.
So moved.
It's been reviewed by our,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded?
Yes.
Seconded to accept the Thurston County Sheriff's Office agreement. Is there any discussion?
Well, just a quick comment, if I can find it here. The termination, give me there. Section 8, the termination, it seems to me pretty one-sided, and maybe we can have our attorney say instead of TCSO, let me get it up here.
Let me get to that. Let's see where,
It's right here. Oh, that's the one, yeah, here it is.
Oh, wait.
Here it is.
Basically, it said, no, termination, there we go.
Number
Section
6.
It says TCSO may terminate this contract in whole and part, et cetera, and I think it might be a good idea to say the parties may terminate this contract. Right now, that paragraph, as I read it, is all about TCSO. It seems to me a little equity in that clause would be.
Where is that
it's
in
on
here?
page 4, right here. Termination.
I think in the duration of contract, either party may terminate this agreement at any time for any reason upon 30 days notice.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Does anybody
So
else have any?
it's just, that's
I
fine.
see what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Let's just
Usually
have
it's
it
either side can comment.
A two-way clause there, yes, that's all I'm
Right.
saying.
I'll look to the council for if you
Well,
think
if we're
that.
gonna change the wording on that, then we can't approve this tonight until the lawyers.
Well, and then it has to go back to the county for approval. They've already taken it to their board and been approved by their board.
Mm-hmm.
Could we do a conditional approval?
Uh,
Approve subject to changes? How's that work?
Has our attorney looked at it?
He did look at it, yeah. I'm
There's
actually
He
birds.
didn't make any recommendations?
He did, and we made the changes he recommended already.
So he doesn't seem to think that this would be, our attorney doesn't seem to think
Yeah.
that he thinks.
And
this is all
I
right.
understand what you're saying. I think the risk is pretty minimal. I mean, I think if we said, hey, Sheriff, we don't need to do this, I don't think there would be a lot of, it's not like they're making a, we're giving them a $300,000, but I understand what you're saying, Jeff, that
Okay,
usually it's both sides.
I'll
so-
accept that and I'll support this, but perhaps in the future,
Yeah.
the attorney just knows
Yeah.
that that's something I'm gonna look for and be.
Yeah, I
I'll
agree,
be
I
about
agree,
it.
it should. Okay, any other discussion on that?
First and second.
Okay, it's been, motion been made and seconded, all those, approval, I'm drawing, my mind's drawing a blank now, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're almost there, New business grant writer agreement,
That's what happens when you keep calling this a town.
yeah, I know, I'm surprised you haven't reminded me. Tenino Police Department, this was one of the contentions that we have, I think was not real clear. We got a grant from the Squally for $10,000 we were gonna use on FLIR cameras, but we decided we couldn't do that, so we decided we would use that grant money to hire a
A
grant
grant
writer.
writer for.
So
these-
$10,000 we have, that is, and it has to be used by the end of the year. We contacted somebody, I met with her and the chief, she seems very good. She's already got some possibilities even for this year to help us with the policing cost.
Yeah.
And then looking forward, it sounded like the chief talked today, some possible funding to help pay for the officers for next year.
For next year.
So she's already started to do some work and get information, so this contract is basically just entering to her for providing that service.
No problem.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve
Gotcha.
the grant writer agreement for the police operations. Is there any discussion?
Can we just say pending legal, because I know that our attorney had a few changes to it.
Oh, that's right, they did.
So-
So we have to send this.
Pending legal.
Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded to approve pending legal and review of the contractor. Is there any other discussion?
Just, I'm curious on the termination here. I've never seen this in a contract. Tenino may terminate this contract with written notice upon receipt of notice that funds are not available through its funding sources to pay the contractor. Is that saying if the grant isn't gonna
Yeah.
pay us?
We have $10,000 that we can spend, so we won't be spending any more than $10,000, and we made that clear to her, unless we take further action to spend more money for some reason.
All right.
I think she seemed to think she could do it
For
for
less,
10,000.
yeah.
For less than 10,000, so.
The public is asking that we speak louder and better into our microphones.
Sorry,
Thank you.
public.
Tell the public
Everyone's
to turn the
mumbling
volume
along
up.
or far away.
Is that better?
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the contract conditional upon all parties agreeing to the changes that have been made. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Getting close. Two more things.
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
for you guys, it seems like we're just moving really quick with these, but we don't look at something today and say yes today. We look at these things 3, sometimes 4 times before we say yes.
Okay. There's that one. Yeah, I keep that copy. Now it's resolutions. Resolution 2024-09, the ad valorem tax levy for 2025, as was described by our clerk treasurer earlier, which we will levy the amount of $330,597.96 for
No
next year.
approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution 2024-09. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Last one. Resolution 2024-11, the surplus of a 2005 Chevy Silverado. We talked about this in our work session, so
No
Move
approval.
approval.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-11. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all
We
in
can even
favor?
throw in the duct tape.
Aye. I think he just called for the question.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No ordinance, reports. I guess we don't have anybody else here to do any other reports. So unless there's any announcements, I think we're done.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
In the checks here, we have one from Geosyntec Consultants. These are the people who were getting our report on water resources we might be able to. Is that report available to the council yet?
For the water rights.
Yes.
Was that the water rights one? I didn't think it was water rights, that was somebody else. I don't know,
Is that the water, let me look at it,
Yeah.
sorry.
I might have to, yeah,
It
I saw that
references
too.
Jill Van Hool, and I think she was the consultant.
Yeah, this is for the water rate assistance. I don't think they're done yet. I don't think there's like, they're doing the work right now.
Okay,
And that's what we're paying for.
all right, thank you.
Can we go home?
Do you have the other ones, Jeff? Or
Nope.
You haven't even got through them yet, have you?
Yeah, I'm still working through it. That's a big stack after 3 weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot this time.
No, I'm fine here. If I have any questions, I'll
Okay. Well, if anything comes up, you look through and we can always go back and if there's something that's really catches your eye that will, okay, if there's no announcements, we are adjourned.
Non-debatable motion.
Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it.